Foxborough is heating up, and today there's no space for soft talk. Kayshon Boutte opened up about A.J. Brown, coming in with WR1 weight, and that goes straight at his own future. After that, there's a possible pass rush move that could change the entire defense. A.J. Brown also dropped a strong line about a young receiver. And Christian Gonzalez? That contract situation just got even hotter. Hit the like button now because today is pressure, analysis, and Patriots football without asking for permission. Kayshon Boutte did not answer like a player who felt trapped in a corner. To me, that says a lot. Because when the Patriots bring in A.J. Brown and give up a first-round pick and a fifth-round pick to make it happen, nobody in that wide receiver room is clueless. Everybody understands the message. A physical monster just walked through the door, a guy with a real WR1 resume, an ex-receiver who has already shown he can win one-on-one, separate underneath, punish teams on slants, battle through contested catches, and change how a defense lines up. That puts everybody in an uncomfortable spot. And what separates a roster guy from somebody who truly belongs in New England? How he responds when that discomfort shows up. Boutte could have tightened up. He could have tossed out some empty answer. He could have fed the ego drama you see in plenty of locker rooms across the league. He did not do that. He looked at A.J. Brown and basically said, "Good pickup, that man dominates." Then he went even further. He talked like someone who studies the craft. He said he is an ex-receiver too, that he watches Brown's tape, that he sees a player constantly winning one-on-one. That is real competitive mentality. That is not bowing down. That is challenge accepted. That is what makes this whole situation so interesting. Boutte's name has been floating around trade talk all offseason. His absence from voluntary workouts only added more fuel to that fire. But when he talks, it does not sound like a guy searching for the exit. He says he is still working even while he is away, that he does not buy the outside noise, and then he drops the line every New England fan needed to hear. He wants to stay with the Patriots for the rest of his career. He called Boston his life. He called this place home. Now comes the hard part. Good feelings do not guarantee snaps. A.J. Brown is expected to start. Romeo Doubs comes in strong as well. This room has real competition now, but Boutte produced. Even after missing 3 games, he put up 42 catches, 719 yards, and 7 touchdowns. More important than that, Drake Maye trusted him. In an offense that is being rebuilt, that connection matters. So if anybody thinks Boutte is going to disappear because a star showed up, slow down. In Foxborough, you earn your place on the field, and Boutte just made it clear he is ready to fight for every inch. If the offense already landed its statement punch with A.J. Brown, the defense is still staring at one uncomfortable question. Who is going to make opposing quarterbacks feel pressure before the snap? That is the difference between a good defense and a defense that can rip big games out of the other team's hands. New England has built a strong, physical, disciplined base, but since Matthew Judon was traded in 2024, they have been missing that elite hunter who changes protection calls, forces tight end help, and makes an offensive coordinator throw out half the plan. That is why the Josh Sweat conversation deserves serious attention. Dan Graziano put his name on the radar while discussing Sweat's absence from Cardinals OTAs and the players' frustration in Arizona. According to that read, he wants a trade, and the Patriots show up as one of the destinations that makes the most sense. Real talk. Eliot Wolf cannot hear that and act like the phone suddenly lost signal. If there is a real chance to go get this guy, New England needs to test the price. Sweat does not bring the same media thunder as Max Crosby or Myles Garrett, but production does not need fireworks around it. He had 12 sacks in his first season with the Cardinals. 12. That is not resume decoration. That is impact. That is pressure arriving. That is third down staying alive for the defense. That is the ball coming out half a second earlier than the quarterback wants. And in an AFC that is going to put Drake Maye into tight margin games, every extra possession is gold. The Patriots have tried to patch that need with useful names. Milton Williams brought strength. Draymond Jones helps. But neither one solves the full-time dominant edge role by himself. When December hits, when the schedule gets tight, when the opponent knows exactly where to attack, you find out whether you have a real pass rush or just a competent defensive line. Of course, there is noise about whether the Cardinals would even be willing to move him. That is exactly why aggressive teams move before the price becomes an auction. After landing A.J. Brown, the Patriots sent a message to the league. The phase of asking politely is over. Now they need to complete the threat. If Sweat is unhappy, if Arizona is willing to listen, if New England really wants to turn this roster into a serious contender, that call is not a luxury. It is a competitive obligation. There is a line that sounds small, but inside a competitive locker room, it can turn into a spark. A.J. Brown looked at Kyle Williams and said, "K-Dub is cold, bro." Short, direct, no big speech. But when a receiver built like A.J. Brown, arriving with star status, chooses to publicly praise a young player coming off an underwhelming rookie season, I am not brushing that aside. That carries weight. Kyle Williams was a third-round pick in 2025. He came in with tools, speed, and deep threat potential, but his first season did not click the way the fanbase wanted. 10 catches, 209 yards, 3 touchdowns. None of that screams instant breakout. And yes, there were moments when he and Drake Maye looked like they were reading different pages of the same playbook. Route on one timing, ball on another, chemistry still raw. It happens. Rookies struggle, especially in an offense that is trying to rebuild itself. But this is where a lot of people get it wrong. Wide receiver development is not a final verdict after 1 year, especially when the talent shows up in flashes. Williams has the ability to stretch the field, attack vertical space, and force safeties to respect depth. With A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs holding the top 2 chairs in the room, the fight for that third spot gets brutal. Demario Douglas brings quickness inside. Mac Hollins offers experience and usefulness. Efton Chisholm III is trying to carve out a lane. Boutte, depending on where the roster goes, is in that mix too. No gifts, no sympathy snaps. A veteran complement at that level can work as both a push and a challenge. A.J. Brown is not there to hand out empty praise to everybody. If he saw something in practice and pointed it out, Williams needs to grab that as fuel. The opportunity is open, but it will not wait forever. If he becomes the deep threat the Patriots imagined when they drafted him, the offense changes shape. Brown draws attention. Doubs works with strength. Maye gets a more dangerous vertical outlet. Suddenly, the field feels bigger. So I want the fan base to take a stand in the comments. Does Kyle Williams deserve a real shot as WR3, or does he still need to prove a lot more before he gets major snaps? Because that answer could decide whether New England only has names on paper or a receiver room with real layers. Christian Gonzalez being away from OTAs because of a contract standoff is not some tiny administrative note. It is a brutal reminder of how the NFL works when a player becomes premium property. Fans can love the jersey, the logo, the tradition, all of it. I love it too. But a young, dominant #1 corner in a market that keeps exploding does not stay cheap just because the franchise is historic. He gets expensive because every offense in the league is searching for the weak side, and when you have a defender who can erase that plan, he becomes a walking vault. Ian Rappaport framed the situation directly. Before the season, he sees a good chance of a deal. In the next few days, he has not heard that it is imminent. That difference matters. It does not sound like a dead negotiation. It sounds like a heavy negotiation, the kind where every million changes the positional rankings. Trent McDuffie is currently at the top among cornerbacks at $31 million per year. Gonzalez is eligible for an extension, already had his 5th-year option picked up for 2027 at $18.119 million, and is scheduled to make $2.2 million this season. The financial jump is obvious. Say it without fear. Gonzalez deserves an elite conversation. In 14 games last season, he had 69 tackles, 10 passes defended, and 1 tackle for loss. But no stat fully explains what he changes. He gives the defense freedom with its calls. He lets you be more aggressive on the other side. He helps the safety avoid living in constant cleanup mode. When you have that kind of corner, the entire defense breathes differently. Mike Vrabel handled it like an experienced coach. He said the contract is part of the professional side, that he does not want it mixed into the player's preparation, and that he imagines Gonzalez will be present for mandatory minicamp starting June 9th. He also made it clear there is communication with Gonzalez and the defensive coaches. That is the right posture. No public drama, no sideways messages, no turning business into cheap theater. But in my fan brain, the conclusion is simple and aggressive. Pay the man. The Patriots are trying to climb back to the top of the AFC. They have invested in the offense, changed the roster, brought ambition back into the building. You cannot build a threatening defense and then play around with the contract of your best corner. Gonzalez is not a decorative piece. He is the foundation. And in Foxborough, the foundation is not treated like an accessory. When you put these 4 stories together, the picture looks a lot more ruthless than it does when you look at each piece by itself. Boutte facing A.J., Brown's arrival without dropping his head. Josh Sweat emerging as a possible answer to the edge pressure problem. Kyle Williams getting public praise from a star who just walked into the building. Christian Gonzalez pushing for an elite contract while Vrabel tries to keep everything steady. This is not a quiet offseason. This is a roster getting squeezed until it shows who can carry the weight. I like that. I like it because the Patriots spent too much time being treated like some polite rebuilding team. like the goal was to get a little better, compete with dignity, and wait for the future to knock on the door. Enough. New England was not built for moral victories. It was built to win heavy games, bother favorites, and make opponents look at the schedule twice before coming into Foxborough. A.J. Brown's arrival changes the offense, but it also changes the culture in that room. Nobody gets to live off promise anymore. Boutte knows it. Kyle Williams knows it. Drake Maye is going to feel it in the best way, because the standard just went up. Receivers who separate play. Receivers who block play. Receivers who win routes on third down play. Whoever cannot keep up loses ground. Harsh? Yes. Necessary? Even more. On defense, the logic is the same. Gonzalez needs to be treated like a priority because premium talent cannot be replaced with pretty speeches. And if there is a chance to add Josh Sweat, even if it depends on negotiation, cost, and what the Cardinals want, the Patriots need to act like a major franchise. You cannot ask for a championship defense and accept an incomplete pass rush. You cannot celebrate a strong secondary while letting the opposing quarterback sit comfortably in the pocket. So the question for the community is simple, but heavy. Which move defines this team's ceiling more right now? Paying Gonzalez without dragging it out, or attacking the market for a pass rusher like Sweat? I want to see the fan base break this down because this is not small detail talk. This is about identity. It is about the kind of Patriots we want to see. A cautious team waiting for everything to be perfect? Or an aggressive team that understands Drake Maye's window and starts pounding the table right now? The Patriots I want to see are uncomfortable, ambitious, and impossible to ignore. Boutte is fighting for space. A.J. Brown is already raising the standard. Kyle Williams got a public signal that can turn into fuel. Josh Sweat represents the hunt for impact. Gonzalez represents the obligation to protect the elite talent already in the building. That is how a roster stops asking for patience and starts demanding respect. If you believe New England is building something big again, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and ride with us, because Foxborough is starting to sound like decision time again.